everyone, and welcome to this Video Some Frontier video. My name is Jay Wakefield, and today, well, got a bit of a special treat for you, because what we're going to be doing in this video is building a computer. Now, what we're going to be doing is, we're not going to be building anything brand new. We're actually going to be building a machine out of older parts. This case I received as part of a bundle that I got a few weeks ago from someone I got to know through Action on Disability. Unfortunately, its original motherboard it seemed to let go, so I threw it out. But we're actually going to be putting something a bit newer than what it had in there instead. So, what have we got then? Well, before I actually show you exactly what we've got, I want to talk a wee bit about the actual process of building a computer. See, I was on the Facebook group, Computer and Technology group, which is a group that I own on Facebook, which seems to have grown exponentially since I set it up in, I think, the spring of last year. And someone was actually on there, I think, either yesterday or a couple of days ago, speaking as of Friday, January the 30th. So it was either Thursday the 29th or Wednesday the 28th they were on there. And they were asking all sorts of questions about building a computer. Now, of course, they were asking questions about building a brand new computer, but the questions they were asking were actually relevant to what we're actually going to be doing today. Now, when you're building a computer, first thing you need to do is your research. Well, first of all, you want to find out what you want to do with your computer, because that will obviously affect what parts you buy for it. I'm not going to go too much into detail here, but suffice it to say, if you're looking for something for office work, anything from a Celeron to an Intel Core i3 would do the job. I personally like Intel. Other people like AMD. AMD do have their place. The APU, CPU and GPU on the same chip, pretty much, that they do nowadays is pretty good. And they're actually quite good for low power usage systems. Actually, you do get a pretty good bang for your buck with where the AMD APUs are concerned. But like I said, find out what you want to do with your system. Obviously, if you're going to be gaming, you'll need something a bit more high end. Good graphics. If you're looking to make music, you'll need something like a good sound card. If you're looking to run a server, you're going to need lots of storage space. If you're doing 3D rendering, you're probably going to need masses of processing power, that sort of thing. Anyway, like I said, we're not going to be looking too much into that today. What I will say though, I will be talking a bit about board compatibility. Make sure the processor that you're wanting is compatible with the board that you're wanting. Usually the processor will say what socket it's for. Something like a socket LGA 1150 for your Haswell processors, an 1155 for older Ivy and Sandy Bridge processors, socket 2011 for enthusiast processors. There's all sorts of sockets, from both the past and the present, and coming into the future. I'm pretty sure that Haswell is going to have its own socket. Please don't obviously quote me on that. Hang on, Broadwell, sorry. I'm pretty sure that when Broadwell comes out, it's going to have its own CPU socket. So make sure that the CPU, the socket on this the socket that the CPU is designed for, you get the same motherboard. Also, if you get a socket 1156 processor, it will not work in a socket 1155 board and vice versa. Just so you know. All you really need to know is that, your CPU socket and your motherboard socket should match up. Otherwise, literally, the CPU will not fit in the socket. Now, another thing you'll come across is what case you plan to use. Again, it all depends on what you want to use the machine for. If you want in something like a gaming rig, I would say go for a bigger case, as not only do they provide better airflow, you've also got more space for bigger expansion cards to go, like graphics cards or what have you, and of course aftermarket CPU coolers. A lot of them can get quite big. However, if you're looking for something for an office, you might want a smaller case, if not a very compact case. And if you're looking for something for a media center, you might be looking for a mini ITX board. This case that I'm using here is actually, it was an LNX computer one time. But this case is, it was a micro ITX case. Still a bit grubby on the outside. I have cleaned it on the inside. Now, there's different sizes of motherboards. You've got your ITXs, many ITXs. They're tiny boards designed to fit in, very small form factor machines. Very small form factor, machines that are about the size of an average domestic DVD player, or even smaller sometimes. Then you've got your ATXs. Now, ATX cases, you either get micro, mini, or full size. Now, I believe this to be a micro ATX case. It's only got 4 expansion slots. I don't know if you can see that there on camera. So 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one's got a blanking plate. So you have to make sure you have a board that will fit in the case. Now, if you have a full-size ATX case, you'd be able to fit in, a micro ATX board. Luckily, we do have a board that will fit the case. We're going to go for this one that I was actually given by a colleague of mine at Action on Disability. This is definitely Luke Miller approved. It's a gigabyte. It's a gigabyte board. It's an S series Easy Energy Saver motherboard, G31M-ESL2 ES2L. Sorry. So it's the G31 chipset. Not sure how much experience I have with that actually, if any. It's got all kind of fancy features, 3 times USB power boost, charging phones, what have you. It's got solid state capacitors, which is actually good because electrolytic ones tend to blow and they'll have vents on the top. Well, they don't always blow. I mean, I think the capacitor epidemic, it should be over, but I mean, solid states I think tend to be more reliable. It's got the gigabyte dual BIOS, so if you were going to, for example, flash the BIOS and it failed, you've got an extra BIOS chip to kick in there. GMA 3100 graphics from Intel, gigabit LAN, which is pretty fast, DDR2 RAM, with it's, well, I don't know, it's like by overclocking you can get a 1600 megahertz frontside bus and 1066 RAM. So I'm probably just gonna probably do for an 800 megahertz RAM. Now, what I'm going to do is, for the moment, get rid of this case. Don't need it. Because there's a couple of things that I want to do before that. Now, this board actually has a processor installed in it, but no cooler on it. And I want to install the cooler. Thing is, this processor is using old thermal grease. Here's the installation CD ROM. I might actually go into that, get the manual so I can actually get the pin out. Let's have a look at, whoops. Let's have a look at the board itself. Look at that. That is actually a really nice board. It's got 4 slots on it, PCIe ×1, PCIe ×16. It's good for your graphics if you want it, you know, an external graphics card. 2 PCI slots. It looks to have a single IDE channel. And this board really does seem to be doing its bit for getting rid of legacy support now. That's something that, yeah. So it doesn't look like I'm actually going to be fitting a floppy drive to this system, because this board plumb does not have a socket for one. Just Nick Figure floppy controller again. It's a lovely colour. It's a rather fetching blue. It's got, it does have some legacy ports on the back. You've got PS2 mouse and keyboard ports. Serial, IEEE 1284 parallel, VGA out, 4 USB ports, gigabit Ethernet, microphone out, microphone in, line out, line in. But these sockets, these 2 sockets can actually double up to be extra channels, if that's what you're wanting to do. Now, as you can probably see, that CPU's got some grey goo on it. That is the old thermal grease. Now, when you're working on a CPU, you never want to use the old thermal grease. You'll get air bubbles, uneven cooling, and your processor will run hot. What we want to actually do instead is clean. We actually want to clean it. In actual fact, that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to clean it. Now, I was actually going to use some wet ones, but if you'll bear with me, I actually have some proper CPU thermal grease cleaner. So, thanks to the magic of video editing, I'll be right back. Right, I'm back and I've brought something else with me. Let's talk blanking plates. Right, you might be wondering, gee, what the hell is this? It kind of looks like the back of the board. Well, it kind of does, actually. I'm going to weave this away to one side a moment and I'll bring the case back into view. Now, definitely want you to see this part. So, you'll notice this wide chasm in the back of the case. That is where an ATX blanking plate will go. Now, what a blanking plate does is actually, well, it covers the space around the ports. And what happens is, you know, as your motherboard is sat in the case, what should happen is, that's not going well. That's really not going well. But what should happen is, your board should be able to kind of go through the holes on this case. Now, I have a slight problem. You see, this board, I don't actually have its original blanking plate. The person who gave me the board said he was going to try and look for that. Now, I thought that the blanking plate that I'm using here would be ideal. As it turns out, everything is fine until you get to the audio parts. Because the audio parts are actually slightly offset, and in any case, there's 6 holes on this blanking plate where there's only 3 parts. So what I'm going to have to do is, if I actually want to put this system together today, which I'd like to do, if I'm wise, I'll look for a blanking plate. I like how this board, actually, I've just noticed this board's got rounded corners. You know, it doesn't actually seem like a big thing, but actually it's quite ingenious. You're not going to be cutting yourself on any sharp edges. Well, apart from all the legs under here. You're still going to cut yourself on those. But anyway, what we can do is the business of CPU cooling. What I need to do is I need to actually remove the CPU from the board. Right. Now, whoops. Careful you don't get any of this stuff on yourself. It can be conductive. What I have here is a wee wipe. I've got some Atrix CPU cleaner. I got it in a set from PC World with some Atrix. Actually, no, I think I bought the two separately. But I also have some Atrix thermal paste. I also have Arctic Silver 5, but actually, I must admit, I found life to be much better using the Atrix stuff. I can't quite fathom out why, but it just kind of is. So here I am, I'm realising what I'm doing is using the wrong cloth to clean this with, but you know, with the CPU cleaner, you know, it actually is shifting that quite well. Easily, however, and I've done this before, you know, this stuff can be quite expensive, so some multi-action wipes will work as well. Just as long as, you know, you dry the CPU off. I'm just gonna spray a couple more drops on that. I'm just gonna, just be careful when you're wiping this actually, that you don't wipe it. I mean, it's not so bad with the LGA processors, because any processor that has that's designed for an LGA socket, see, it doesn't have any pins on it. It's just contacts. The pins are actually in the socket itself. But on older CPUs, I have actually managed to successfully wipe thermal paste into the CPU pins, and then my attempt to try and fish it out only made things much worse. The CPU, I believe it's a Pentium dual core. I can't actually read what's on the CPU. I don't even know why I'm attempting to do so. But I was told it was a Pentium dual core, so that'll be fine. So, good. Nearly got a clean CPU now, just a stubborn wee patch, I believe. It's refusing to go away. I like to get all of the thermal grease off of a given CPU, because it's well, you don't want to be, you know, have any old grease on it. Seriously, you'll regret it. You'll love to regret it, right enough. So again, just gonna spray my cloth. Oh yeah, this stuff smells really quite nice actually. Very citrusy. It's I was actually told at PC World it uses citric acid, I think, or you know, some form of citrus, whatever it is, to kind of help clean. So yeah, it does smell rather nice, does this stuff. So, right, I think that should do it. So, just gonna make sure the CPU is dry. And then what we're going to do, quite literally, is reinstall it in its socket. So to do that, what I want to do is there's nicks on the CPU. You'll see there's a wee indent there and one on the other side. Now I want to line it up with the indent in the socket. When you get a motherboard, what you'll find, to open the socket door, you'll get a wee kind of metal hook thing that's actually the bracket that kind of holds the CPU door down and the CPU in. And to open the door, what you do is you literally kind of pull it out a wee bit, not too much, but just pull it out and up, and then just kind of pull that handle all the way up, and then you can actually press down on this tab to open the door. You want to be careful with these boards, actually. You don't really put too much pressure at all. See on the socket there's two indents there, so you know where the CPU has got to go. Now you just want to carefully want to slot it in. You don't want to push it in, that will bend your pins. But you'll know when it's in because it'll drop slightly, and yeah, see, you just can't really move it. So with that done, you can carefully put the door down, and then we just kind of push this lever back down. You see that CPU is not going anywhere. Now, here's the bit that I dread. I mean, I'm not the best at this. You've got to have good fine motor skills, and I just don't. I want to apply just a pea-sized blob, if we can, of thermal grease. Nothing more. So, like I said, I mean, your coolant, your thermal paste will come in a syringe, generally. Right. Might be a tad too much, but I think it will be fine. Like I said, don't get any on you. Now this Atrix stuff is silicon based, so it's not conductive. All I can really give you is that on the syringe it says NW 1.5G. That must be 1.5 grams of this stuff. But it is Atrix thermal paste. Now, I'm going to do some housework, if you don't mind, because I've got some on my table, and this is my dining room table, so where I work on laptops, obviously. So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna clean up. There we go. I mean, if anything, we'll have the board all thermal pasted and a cooler installed on it, Ken. So at least, at least we've got that done. So I'll get a blanking plate. Right, now, installing the cooler. On these, if you're using a stock cooler, as I am, these are pretty unforgiving. And I don't really like them. Socket 1155 ones were a lot better, actually. What you want to do is, make sure all the handles are open first, Ken. I think, yep, all the handles are open, and then what will happen is, you'll push this down into the holio in the board, and then you'll turn the handle the other direction, and then that will actually keep it locked open. That will actually keep that bit locked open, and then it will obviously not be able to come out of the CPU socket hole. So that's the theory. Now the practice. I'm not the best at this, and I will be honest. But, you know, I do try, and I've installed 775 systems before and seem to have worked okay. Now when you do it, you want to install it kind of diagonally. So I've installed the top left clip, now the bottom right. I'm going to do the top right and then the bottom left. Right. So there you have it. I can actually lift the board by the cooler. Now, that's it installed. So, what we need to do is, thought I'd got that stuck. We need to connect the CPU fan. So, you look for a header marked CPU fan. So it'll be either a 3 or a 4 pin plug. So what I can do is just connect it here, and it's paramount that that is connected. Okay. In fact, there's actually some kinks in the wire. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to unkink these so I can wrap the wire around the base of the cooler where the heatsink is. So that, you know, it'll be kind of kept tidy out of the way. Cable management is also not my thing, just to warn you, I'm no good with it. And you really don't need to comment on that. In the words of EXW Bill. So, alright. Has anyone got any GHDs? I'm just gonna, what I can do, just kind of route these wires, I think, a wee bit around these clips, see? And then these will, and then this will slot itself just very, very nicely in there. There we go. Okay, that's perfect. Now, I'm going to need some RAM. This came on the board, but it's too little. It's only 512 megs, even if it is a nice stick. So what I'm going to try and do is find some higher capacity sticks. Not sure how many I've got left. I've been putting them in other systems. I need to actually restock on... oh no, I've found the floppy disk controller. Would you look at that? There it is. It's beautiful. So yeah. What I'm going to do is find some more RAM and find a better blanking plate. It's the one that will actually fit this board. If I can't find a better blanking plate, then I'll just kind of put this board maybe in somewhere safe in an anti-static packaging, you know, with the CPU cooler mounted to it, and yeah. Okay, bad news. I can't actually get I can't seem to find a blanking plate that fits. So, what I think I'm going to do instead is I'll fit this machine's drives. In fact, I'll fit them now because I know which drives I want to use. I'm not going to connect any cables or anything. That'll just get in the way. But I'll fit the drives, and they won't actually be kind of messing everything up. They'll just be in the case. And as there's two holes, I'm going to use two drives. See? DVD writer, DVD ROM. Now, I'm just going to have a look at yeah. So one is set to master, the other one is set to slave. It's a DVD writer that's set as master, and that's exactly how I would do it. Quite clever. Now, I'm going to do flip both sides off of this case. So it's quite. See, one of the reasons I wanted to kind of show this on video actually is because yeah, I'll get that sticker off as well actually as well. Billy Core was actually looking to buy a case quite similar to this, and I thought, how fun! I have a case that's pretty much exactly the same, except for on his it was silver there and black there. This is the other way round. So I'm having issues getting this out. There we go. Actually had to use some good old-fashioned brute force there. Now, obviously the other side needs to come off as well, because there's screws on both sides. This is not like modern day cases where you've got brackets that actually just kind of, let it rootless. Or maybe it is. Right, that was embarrassing. Right. Okay. So how on earth do I use these? The answer to that question is, I have no flaming clue. I think what you do, you stick the dries in, and then you kind of just push these down. But yes, that's exactly what you do. So that's basically what I'm going to do here. But I think that the hard drive probably just kind of screws in. Now, I have a bracket for a hard drive in my bedroom. I don't know if it goes to this case or whether it goes to the Advent computer that I have. I am going to find out. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to fit the DVD-ROM drive at the bottom. This, actually, no, I'm not. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to fit it at the top. I'm going to fit the DVD writer at the bottom. This is what I've been doing. No, I'm going to fit the ROM at the bottom. Yeah, sorry. Get myself all confused now. Good. Right. Thanks to the kindly processes of aging, this appears to be a slightly different silver than this. Yeah. Great. Right. Just what I'm going to do is just make sure all these are pulled out. I think. Yeah, are they? Yeah, maybe. Yes, no, maybe. I don't know. Well, it's going in anyway. There we go. So there you have it. The case is looking more together than I've ever seen it. Wow. I believe I have a silver bezel floppy drive as well that I can just kind of throw in there as well. So, I'm going to try and find that out. But in the meantime, I'll just kind of pan up and let you have a look at the case. There you go. Bad news! At this time, I can't seem to find a silver bezeled floppy drive. So, here's this black one. I'll just kind of drop this in here. Now, hard disk caddy. I don't know if I don't know what the story is here actually. Actually, I think I've just found out. Yeah, it would seem to me that. Yeah, actually, no, I do know the story behind this. Yeah, hard disk will go into this caddy, and then just kind of have two screws that you just kind of pop in. Nice as you like. There you go. So yeah, and then there's a PC speaker, and then all your connecting cables go to the main board, that sort of stuff. However, you know, because I'm out of blanking plate, I can't actually finish this machine off right now. So what I think I'm going to do is I will wrap up this video here. Actually, you know, that's what I'll do. Because I may as well kind of get this first part uploaded now. You know, and then I'm not messing about. I've not got videos that need edited kind of hanging around my hard drive forever in a day. That is not what I need. You know, last time, you know, I was doing that at the beginning of the month, and it actually got me quite stressed out, and I ended up deleting some content that I actually didn't want to delete. Oh, no, I was actually wrong about this case. I needn't have bothered removing this side. Didn't need to. No actual proper screw holes in there, I've just realised. So actually, this is exactly like a modern case. Bad brain that I am sometimes, Ken. So it's now just a case of pushing these sides back into place and then buttoning them down. Literally, that's all you have to do. Just kind of two clips on it, and then you just go button it down, and it's away. And same with this side. So just a case of slide it in, and slide it in so that I'm sorry, but that panel gap seems to stretch two postcodes. That's not good enough. There we go, that's much better. There we go. Although this side has got a yawning chasm for a panel gap, but this one, that is waterproof as an aqua pack. Well, probably not that. I'm not gonna test that. Obviously, let's just pretend it is, okay. Anyway, so this PC looks to be fully built until you look at the back, and then you realise there's a big blanking plate that you can actually look inside. But above that, there's a great big hole where the power supply should go. Hello in there! So, what I'm going to do, wait for the I/O shield, drop that in, throw in the board, tape it all up, and watch it go. So, I hope you've all enjoyed watching this video. Don't need that. If you have, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. Also, please feel free to read my blog and like the page on Facebook. And thank you for watching, and I hope you'll all join me for my next video.